Hi, I'm Sam Porter, and I'm going to be talking about the two-step flow theory. Have you thought about how information from mass media reaches you? Well, it probably reached you through the two-step flow theory model. So, what is the two-step flow theory? This theory says that there are two steps in media spreading to the audience. First, the content from the mass media goes to people called opinion leaders. Opinion leaders can be from people's social environment, such as family members, friends, or coworkers, as well as other people, such as influencers. These individuals collect, interpret, and diffuse the meaning of the information from the mass media. They then send it on to the other people. Here is a model of this theory from simplypsychology.com. It is a simple way to visualize it. We got this TV shape up here representing mass media. Step one, going to the opinion leaders. And then step two, going to the masses or the other people in society, the audience. So the main theorist is an American sociologist named Paul Lazarsfeld. He originally talked about the model for two-step flow theory with American behavioral scientist Bernard Berelson and author Hazel Gaudet in the 1948 book titled The People's Choice. Paul Lazarsfeld continued to develop this theory with American sociologist Elihu Katz in the 1955 book titled Personal Influence. This theory rejected the dominant belief at the time, which was that mass media had a direct influence on the audience instead of multiple steps. That model was known as the hypodermic needle model. These theorists created the two-step flow model after conducting research about citizens' decision-making processes in the 1940 presidential election. So here we got Paul Lazarsfeld, Bernard Berelson, Elihu Katz, and Hazel Gaudet. And here are the two books that I mentioned, The People's Choice and Personal Influence. Moving on to the strengths and criticisms of the theory. A strength is that it is a straightforward way of how people receive information. Nowadays, apps such as Twitter, which I guess is now called X, have trusted resources such as politicians, celebrities, news anchors that people can follow on the app. When they send out the information of something, it usually attracts a big audience since they are popular and famous. One criticism of this theory is that there are more accurate models out there. Two-step flow theory originally was created to reject the now called one-step flow communication model, which is the one that I mentioned before, which has the other name of the hypodermic needle model. Authors have resorted back to that older model due to advancements in digital media. Simultaneously, some people are looking more into other models that show several lines of interpersonal communication, and those are known as multi-step flow models. So, an article that I found that related to this theory that was with a recent issue was the George Floyd protests. In May 2020, as I'm sure you guys all remember, George Floyd, a 46-year-old African-American man, was suffocated and killed by a police officer named Derek Chauvin, who kneeled on his neck for over 9 minutes. Protests spread starting the day after his death, which just shows how fast that it spread. From there, the Black Lives Matter movement began. In this example, the opinion leaders included influencers and activists that were associated with the Black Lives Matter movement. They spread George Floyd's story and their beliefs related to the protests, and these ideas spread all around the world. Here is an example of a mural of George Floyd with right here with an American flag in the background, and you can see how many people are there in protest of this horrific action. Also, another um, example that I thought of is the conflict in Gaza. Um, there's multiple sides going on there, so um, it goes from the actual conflict to opinion leaders, of either side, and then spreads to the mass audience. Um, so moving on here in conclusion, the two-step flow theory, with the main theorist being Paul Lazarsfeld, says that information goes from the mass media to the public through individuals called opinion leaders. These can range from family members to influencers. There are both strengths and criticisms of this theory because there are other similar models out there. A recent issue that relates to this theory was the George Floyd protests and the Black Lives Matter movement, starting during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, which I mentioned just a bit ago. And here is another model from mediastudies.com. This is like the mass media, the news, is down to the opinion leaders, the different opinion leaders. And then this model calls these people opinion followers, but it's like the same thing. It's the audience, it's the rest of the people in society. Here are my references from this project. Um, I thought it was really interesting learning about this theory, and thank you for listening.